So the false self is either going to drop or not, right?
Yeah.
Except, of course, when the body dies, then it's going to drop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's never really happening, though. So I'm kind of saying yes to, like, it's never really happening. You're never the Bradley character.
so and I think I heard you say something within the last week or two. Until it's seen, then there will be some part of false self just ready to try to claim it.
Till it's...
I'm sorry?
What do you mean till it's seen?
Until what you're sharing with us is seen. Meaning, well, until the drop, or until the dissolve, or until...
Yeah. It often seems to be a gradual thing, so it seems to be something that happens over time, and in that the person comes back and claims it often. Because as soon as, because even me describing what happened in Bali is totally irrelevant. I answer it because people ask, but at the same time, that's got nothing to do with what is now. This is what is now. But often if there's a big collapse, when after that the person then keeps living in that comparison, before, after, before, after. But that's all experiences, and this is talking about no experience. This is not an experience.
So with that, just off of that, until there is no experience, then some experience will be there.
When there's no longer anybody experiencing this, then there's simply what is, with nothing holding on to anything to be the somebody happening to.
And until that knows somebody, then there will be some degree of an illusion of a somebody
who got enlightened, yeah,
ready to either compare or
but that's so subtle. A lot of speakers and a lot of people that claim enlightenment still believe they're enlightened. It's so subtle. But who? Who is there but what is? It's the end of every ounce of arrogance. The person would never want this because the person really wants to get something.
And whether the drop or the dissolve happens or not has nothing to do with the activities of...
No, nothing, nothing. The person might become more relaxed and more content if it's doing certain activities over other activities, and people think that is them on the way to experiencing more peace. So if the person's taking loads of drugs and partying all the time and is not looking after themselves, then they're most likely going to be experiencing more chaos and more emotional fluxes than somebody that's eating, I don't know, vegan or something, and going to bed and sleeping 10 hours a night, but not necessarily, but they might have a more peaceful life, but that's still nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But the person that's experiencing a more peaceful life will think, if they're studying liberation, that they've become more liberated because they're only looking at liberation as a thing. Whereas it's no experiences. So what's left if this isn't an experience? If this isn't any form of experience, what's left? It's not any form, it's not an emotion, it's not a feeling, not a thought, not an idea, not a past event or a future event. Not a person, not words. Every thought about what is, every idea about what is, every feeling and every emotion is an experience in what is. It's not actually describing it. That is what is. It's not looking at what is. There can't be anything looking at what is. There is simply what is.
So the experience of what is filtered through a lie, kind of.
Yeah, through the lie of somebody. Somebody is looking at what is. Even in Advaita, people come to the conclusion, okay, consciousness is it. Consciousness of things, but that's also an illusion as well. There is simply things. There is simply what is. There is nothing conscious of what is. You could say everything is conscious, but there's not anything separate from the things. The objects are the seeing. The light is the seeing. The air is the seeing. There is simply what is happening, and there's nobody seeing it. There's nobody experiencing it. It's totally boundless and huge. And it's so obvious how the mistake happened in humans. As soon as humans began to speak, they began to be able to describe time. And with the ability to describe time, they believed that who they actually were was something moving in time. Whereas prior to the ability to be able to speak, there was only ever what was happening. So this idea of time and the person exist together, and they're both imagination. And there's nothing wrong with speaking about what the body did and didn't do, but that's not who's experiencing this. It's another experience in this. A divine experience, a beautiful, all the different seemingly unique bodies, like all the different unique trees and birds. But that is not the experience of the body, the somebody. Everything is the experiencer or nothing. And it's not separate from the things, it's not experiencing the things. The experience is the things.
So at some point, or at a point, all experience for somebody could be for nobody. Is that right?
Always, that's always the way it's happening. Even though there's a somebody appearing, feeling like they're experiencing, it's never happening for someone. You're always enlightened. There's always total enlightenment. But the person believes that it's an activity enlightenment, so it looks for something. Whereas there's this big, huge nothingness, which is everything. So who hears the sound of my voice now?
The hearing hears.
But the hearing isn't separate from the sound, they're one and the same thing. So there's nothing that's actually experiencing this, there's only ever what is happening. Your hearing doesn't start inside the head or at the edge of Lisa's sound. In the actual experience, there's simply sound happening.
You said, even today, and I'll paraphrase, that the separate somebody wouldn't want this.
Oh yeah.
So is there ever, and it's not even important, but this is just a question that's coming up, is there ever a time, kind of like the Matrix, where the separate somebody is gone, but then, I guess not, but is like, regrets it?
No. In the bit part of waking up, it might be like, holy fuck, I'm giving myself up. Why would I want to give me up? In the awakening part. I mean, you're really going to lose yourself, Bradley. That's the cost of this. But the person, bless it, always, when it hears that, it still imagines that as a thing. So then it's like, that's okay, because that's a thing. It's some sort of experience. Imagine having no idea who was experiencing this. Imagine having no idea of a difference between you and the world. So someone shouting at you and screaming at that body, at Bradley's body, and there's no difference, there's no idea that they're screaming at you. There's simply screaming happening. Always. So you're making love with your lover, and you have no idea you're making love with your lover. It's blissful, actually. I wouldn't, when like the person interferes, but you totally lose yourself. The person wouldn't actually want that, it would still want to have some form of awareness. self-awareness. To make sure it's not acting like a complete idiot. It's so intimate, this conversation, because I can see you. You can't see me, but I can see you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Bradley. Bye.